Hello, chemistry students. This video is going to be to explain and go over some dimensional analysis problems using conversion factors. This is not brand new. We've talked about this just briefly and with some very simple problems. We're going to get into a little more detail, and you're going to continue to see this throughout the year. So make sure that you have a good understanding of this process, and if you have questions, please don't hesitate to first consult your book, reach out to a classmate, or shoot me an email. So when we talk about the process of dimensional analysis, talking about problems that use conversion factors. So conversion factors like there are 4 quarters in $1. There are 10 dimes in $1. There are 20 nickels in $1. There are 100 pennies in $1. These are all equalities. And in fact, I can write them as fractions. $1 is 4 quarters, or also there's 4 quarters in $1. And both are true. I could also write that there's 10 dimes in $1. I could even write that there's 4 quarters and 10 dimes are also a conversion factor. And we actually use conversion factors in our everyday life, I think, a little more than we realize. Some other ones like 7 days per week, 16 ounces per pound. And again, we can flip that either way. There's conversions from ounces to milliliters. We use conversion factors with that. So we use conversion factors a lot. The important thing to remember is that they represent equalities. So things that are equal in value or quantity to each other. And so because of that, we can kind of flip them and put either one on top. It doesn't really matter. So these are easiest if we follow, I think, some simple steps like looking at the problem and kind of analyzing it first, coming up with some calculations, and then in the end evaluating to see if those really make sense. So how many minutes are in one day? Let's talk about that for a moment. So I would like you to show your path with these, meaning that where are you starting? What conversion factors are you going to go through to get to that final answer? And that's what we're going to concentrate on today too, is kind of showing how you show your path with these. So first, to analyze how many minutes are in one day. I always like to think and look at this and think about what my final answer is going to be in first, because that goes a long way in helping you set up that problem. How many minutes are there in one day? How many minutes is what I'm asking. And I'm starting with one day. So I'm starting with my largest unit and working towards smaller units. I do not want you to calculate on a side and try to figure out how many minutes are in one day and use one conversion factor, because that is not what we're doing here. This is going to take several conversion factors. I want you to think of the obvious path that we would take to get from days. Obviously, days, we'd probably go, the next smallest unit might be hours, right? Or should be hours. So days to hours. The next smallest unit is minutes. So I think that's probably the path that we want to take when we're going through this. All right, so what conversion factors might we need? My first step here, and I'm gonna write this in table form just as an option. That's not the way I presented this before, but I want, for a lot of students, for some students they don't want to do this. For other students, it's easier to use the table method. You do whatever works for you. I don't care. But the table method is just, first of all, remembering that this one day is technically on the top of our, on the top of our fraction, or on the top part of our table. and looking at conversion factors, my first step is to get rid of day and to get closer to minute. So we kind of mentioned this. So my path, day to minutes, or sorry, days to hours. I said minutes, I meant hours. Days, I have to go through hours and then to minutes. That's going to be my path. So when I talk about, oh, we need a path, or to write your path, that's all I'm talking about. What units are you going to go through before you get to your final answer? From days to hours, we know that one day is 24 hours. I want days to go away, and I want to keep hours at this point. So one day is going to go on the bottom, 24 hours is going to go on top. This represents, right, and then multiply. And then, so now, remember with dimensional analysis, days cancels out. So I'm really sitting at hours here. I really am at hours, and I really need to get to minutes. We know there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So I want hours to go away. So I need hours on the bottom. So 1 hour is 60 minutes. I want to keep minutes, and I want that to be on top. So then I just have to solve this. And this is pretty simple because we have a lot of ones in there, so that makes it a whole lot easier. But remember, your ultimate goal is to multiply everything on top together. 1 day times 24 hours times 60 minutes. I'm going to move this over, make a little room here. And it's okay if you want to do that calculation and then write it as a fraction. Like if I take 24 times 60, some of you can maybe do this in your head, not on my life. And then 1 times 1 is just going to be 1. So this is pretty simple, right? 1,440 minutes. Now let's see that, so that was my calculating part. Evaluate, does that make sense? Does that seem reasonable? Is that a gigantic number and it should be smaller? So let's think about that for a moment. This seems pretty reasonable because obviously 1 day has a lot of minutes in it, so it should be a fairly large number. So yeah, that seems really reasonable. All right, let's say that I need to earn $2,500, that I want to go on a cruise. My job pays $125 per day, and I need to know how many weeks I have to work to earn enough money to go on this cruise. Okay, I can't quit in the middle of the week. I have to complete weeks of work. Okay, so I need to analyze this really quickly. What do I need to know and what's important, right? So my answer is going to be, I need $2,500. Okay, so I need to earn $2,500. That's important. I'm just underlining important things. To go on a cruise, my job pays $125 per day. I guess I want to know how many weeks I have to work to earn enough money for my cruise. So my path, let's think about this. I want my answer to be in weeks, right? So I want to end up with weeks. I'm starting at dollars, $2,500, and I want to get to weeks. is there anything that takes me from dollars to weeks? If we really analyze this, there's not anything that takes me from dollars to weeks, but there is something that takes me from dollars to days. So I can do that. I'm looking at this conversion factor right here. So I can go from dollars to days, and then from days to weeks. So let's set this up. I'm starting with $2,500. I'm gonna do the table method just to keep myself organized here. I know I want my answer to be in weeks. My first step is to get rid of what I started with. Those units have to go away. So I have $2,500. I want dollars to go away. This right here is a conversion factor, and you have to recognize things like dollars per day or dollars per hour, miles per hour. If we drive 60 miles per hour, that's 60 miles in 1 hour. That's what that actually means. So this conversion factor is actually $125 in 1 day. So I want dollars to go away. I need to put that on the bottom. And then I want to get to from days to weeks. That's a pretty simple conversion factor because I know in 1 week there are 7 days. If I look at my conversion factors now, dollars have canceled out, days have canceled out, I'm left with weeks, and that's what I wanted. So now I just get to do my calculations. 2,500 times 1 times 1. I'm going to do, I'm going to, so I have, if I multiply 2,500 divided by 125, or divided by 125 times 7. So I solved this as a fraction. Now I want to make it take it out of fraction form. It actually comes to I'm going to round to 2.9 weeks. If I want to know whole weeks, it is actually 3 whole weeks, but 2.9 is acceptable. So I have to work 2.9 weeks to earn enough money to go on my cruise. So hopefully those couple of examples are very helpful. Please do read the chapter in your book to make it more clear. Like there's great information in there and tips for solving and so forth. And please reach out to me if you feel like you need more help. And please help each other as well.